Tonight, deja vu as streets fill with water on a rainy August day.
It really needs to be on a hinge system, something, that can open itself up when it blocks instead of going backwards and into homes.
One man's effort to keep a nearby culvert clear all summer as dozens of basements flood just 6 weeks after the damaging Canada Day storm. As we continue to learn more about the mess at Moody Station and along the planned LRT Western Extension, we hear from the head of OC Transpo, Rick Leary's thoughts about what is in store. And while they watch and wait,
at this moment, every dollar is very important.
Colombians here mobilized to help those impacted by a devastating earthquake. Good evening. Some residents are once again cleaning up dirty, wet basements in the city's West End tonight after yet another rainstorm caused flooding on streets, roads, and highways. This latest storm coming just weeks after the Canada Day floods and ramping up calls for the city to better maintain stormwater infrastructure. CTV's Austin Lee joins us now with more on this. Austin.
Well, Patricia, it seems any serious rainfall event is now sparking flashbacks of that Canada Day storm, and some are taking it upon themselves to clear drains and culverts while calling on the city to do more.
No, you're right. There's nothing going down here.
Monday's storm sending floodwater rushing into Ottawa streets, giving residents worrying flashbacks of the Canada Day flood.
There's no way for this to open. The only thing that can happen is the water goes backwards and into everybody's homes.
Ivan Potts saw his home flood on July 1st. He took matters into his own hands that day, clearing this culvert that was completely clogged.
The debris was about a foot to a foot and a half thick behind the pipe, a mixture of grass, plastics, socks, sticks, you name it. It was in there, just jammed it right up.
The culvert is in Ottawa's Bayshore neighborhood near Scriven Street off the Trans-Canada Trail. And since July 1st, Potts has returned several times, spending hours to prevent flooding.
I had let the city know that we should probably get it cleaned out or dredged out, and that never happened.
He was back on Monday, hard at work, clearing the culvert during the rainstorm.
Look at all the debris already building up from the inside.
It was flowing very heavily, and there was about 4 or 5 of those boards jammed right up on the back of that grill, blocking the water from coming out.
Councillor Lane Johnson says she's aware of dozens of reports of flooded homes in Ottawa Monday as water rushed into the street. Some councillors are now putting Ottawa's stormwater infrastructure in the spotlight.
Some people are just recovering, and to have to experience this over again is difficult. So the city has to look at this with the idea that we have to improve.
As we experience more frequent intense storms, how does the infrastructure react under those different experiences? So those are some of the questions that we're still asking, and I hope that we'll have better answers by the end of the week.
We need a different gate system here.
And as some city culverts face challenges, Potts says he has a solution.
So it really needs to be on a hinge system, something that can open itself up when it blocks instead of going backwards and into homes.
Now, we asked the city if there are any plans to upgrade culverts in problem areas like the one in Bayshore, but we did not receive a response before airtime. And also, as we saw earlier in the story, sections of Highway 417 also were submerged in water during the afternoon commute. Patricia, it was quite the rainstorm.
Pretty wild pictures for sure. All right, CTV's Austin Lee live for us tonight. Thank you, Austin. And the Canada Day floods also caused significant damage to the LRT West extension, which could delay the opening. Tonight, we're hearing directly from the head of OC Transpo about the extent of that damage. CTV's Leah LaRocque joins us live from the Nepean Sportsplex, where OC Transpo is holding a public information session tonight. Leah.
Well, Patricia, the room is pretty empty right now, but it is expected to fill. The town hall gets underway in about half an hour time, where there will certainly be a lot of questions for the boss of OC Transpo. We posed some questions to Rick Leary just moments ago, specifically about the West End damage LRT and what he is seeing and how he is feeling about it. Essentially, he wasn't sugarcoating it. He said everything that we have seen and heard and reported is pretty accurate, saying that there is significant significant damage. What I'm taking away from it is that there is no option off the table. When it comes to the rails, there is also a lot of damage, not just there, but on the ballast. That's the rock around the track that you see. There is also a lot of damage to the signaling system, to the cabling, and of course the track itself. So what they're doing right now is they're determining what needs to be repaired versus what needs to be replaced. And it's a lot of work that we'll need to do. Rick Leary says it's too premature for him to say exactly to answer any of those questions because he's working with the contractor right now. They're doing an assessment. When we asked about, well, what would this mean for the timeline, he says that partial opening is still a possibility, and here is what he had to say.
There was extensive damage through the flood. And right now what I'm doing is I'm working with the contractor and we're doing an assessment. And I've made it very clear to Council and the Transit Committee that I'll be back in early 2027 with the schedule for repair and replace and when we think we can start up.
A big test for OC Transpo is coming in the next couple of weeks. That's when we have back to school and a lot of federal public servants returning to the office. So OC Transpo is doing a lot of changes to its service to boost it, to make it more reliable. There will be more train service. Rick Leary says there will be 90 additional trips a day on Line 1. We also know that there's going to be more service to park and rides, more express buses from both the west and the east, as well as Line 2, so really getting commuters where they need to go. So he says that he is confident that the system can handle it. Patricia.
Where they need to go on the parts of LRT that are already open and running. So it's looking a little dire for that west extension right now. What about the east extension? What are we hearing there? Is that looking good for fall, November?
Yeah, so let's look at the other end of the city, and we asked him about that. He said it's coming along nicely. There are vehicles out there, and testing is getting done every day. He says he likes what he sees. They're figuring out little knickknacks, is what he called it. Some of the problems in the system, figuring it out. He did say that he is hopeful by later this year there will be something. That is his intent. So hopefully by the end of the year there will be some very good news for the East Extension. So that will certainly help riders get. But again, he says that the big focus right now is getting that monitoring system on all of the trains. So that will be a big step for OC Transpo, and they're about 80%. So about 80% of the trains have that sensor on there. But the head of OC Transpo says that he is hopeful that something will be available for those East End commuters by the end of the year.
Yeah, he has Patricia. A lot on his plate. Leah, thank you very much for this and for chatting with him ahead of the meeting tonight. CTV's Leah LaRocque live for us from Nepean Sportsplex. Well, during yesterday's heavy rainfall, you likely received an alert about a possible tornado urging you to take cover immediately. It went out to tens of thousands of people across the city. But as of today, Environment Canada is making some changes to its weather warning system. CTV's Stephen Keys is in studio with those details. Steph.
Patricia, the goal is to make the alerts more targeted so they don't go out to entire cities or large areas that may not be at risk. The hope is this cuts down on alert fatigue so people take the warnings more seriously.
Meteorologists are tracking a thunderstorm that is possibly producing a tornado.
An alert similar to that was broadcast on televisions across Ottawa around 5:25 yesterday evening. An emergency alert also went out to cell phones. And while there was heavy rain and hail, the tornado risk did not apply to the entire city. But with this new system, forecasters will be able to draw a perimeter around an area in a city they think is most likely to be affected and then push an alert to just phones in that area.
This is part of the adaptation to the new climate, right? Is you need better tools, better infrastructure to increase community resilience.
Meteorologists are tracking.
The changes will only apply to severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings. Environment Canada says the alerts will now also have more specific information, including time of arrival, which is making a big difference. Keep in mind that while the changes took effect today, Environment Canada is planning an official launch tomorrow. Patricia.
All right, CTV's Stephen Keys live for us tonight. Thanks, Steph. As we take a live look now through our Centennial Glass Skycam, 26 degrees out there right now, looking pretty peaceful with the sun still shining as we take our first look at the weather. And happy to tell you we do not have any warnings on the go in the capital. We do have the possibility of some showers this evening. Tomorrow we'll see a mix of sun and cloud, overall fairly pleasant. Chance of showers for you on Thursday. So it looks like this over the next 24 hours. You'll see 21 degrees at 8 o'clock, about a 30% chance of showers. Slight chance of showers as you wake up tomorrow. Fairly cool overnight. 16 at 7 a.m. We'll warm it up to 24 degrees by the noon hour. Again, a possibility of a thunderstorm in the forecast tomorrow. It's the one unsettled day we are seeing out there this week. Right now in the capital, it's 26. A little bit of humidity, feels slightly warmer at 29 degrees. Well, the desperate search for survivors continues in Colombia tonight after a powerful earthquake devastated parts of the country, leaving hundreds dead and missing. Here in Ottawa, members of the Colombian community are anxiously checking on loved ones while mobilizing to help those who lost everything. CTV's Caitlin Wilson joins us in studio with this. Caitlin.
Yeah, Patricia, Colombia's Geological Service says this was the strongest earthquake to shake the country this century. As rescue crews and loved ones comb through the rubble, those here are doing what they can to help. Chaos unfolding in the streets of western Colombia after a powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake hit Monday morning, reducing buildings to rubble, sending people running for safety.
I was so scared. I started to call my mom and my uncle, and we were trying to reach our family.
Thousands of kilometers away for Juanita Botero, whose family owns Encanto Cafe in Manitic, the devastation hits close to home.
At least all our family is okay. They don't have a house anymore, but at least they are okay. But I have some friends that they cannot find their parents or their families.
Across the hardest hit communities, rescuers are still searching through debris. More than 200 people have been killed, with thousands still missing, and roughly 1,600 buildings damaged or destroyed.
We are going to start collecting donations as soon as tomorrow or Tuesday. We feel very bad, and we just want to find a way to help them.
This cafe was created to bring a little bit of Colombia to Ottawa. Now they're finding a way to give back, and they aren't alone.
My family, they live in Bogota. If you take a plane from Cali to Bogota, it takes 1 hour. And my family felt the earthquake.
The Colombian-Canadian community of Ottawa and Gatineau has launched its own fundraiser, raising money for food, shelter, and other emergency assistance.
Even if you can donate $10, trust me, at this moment, every dollar is very important.
And while collecting donations is one thing, getting them to Colombia is another.
This is the thing that we need to send, and we need a partner or with Aaron or whatever.
For now, they're doing what they can, knowing every donation is one small step in helping those who lost everything.
It's going to be a long road because our city and all the cities around are totally destroyed.
Encanto is looking for donations, including non-perishable food, flashlights, power banks, medical supplies, gloves, and masks. More information on how to help can be found on our website, ctvnewsottawa.ca. Patricia?
CTV's Caitlin Wilson live for us tonight. Thank you.
Still ahead, filling thousands of backpacks ahead of back to school. Why one organization says they're still looking for donations. That story coming up.
27-year-old Eastern Ontario resident is facing more than a dozen charges in connection with a child exploitation investigation. Ontario Provincial Police executed a search warrant at a home in Killaloe 2 weeks ago and arrested and charged the suspect. The accused is facing 15 charges, including abduction of a person under 14, luring minors, extortion, sexual interference, and sexual assault on a person under 16. Police say they are not identifying the suspect to protect the identity of the victims. Ontario's police watchdog is investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of a person in distress in Cornwall. Officers were called to the area of Belmont Street and Montreal Road yesterday morning. Cornwall police say despite the efforts of emergency responders, the individual was pronounced dead at the scene. OPP are looking for the driver of a truck hauling a backhoe that hit a bridge on Highway 417. This happened around 6:40 yesterday morning in the eastbound lanes at Eagleson Road. Police sharing this photo of the vehicle. Anyone who witnessed the crash or who may have dash cam footage is asked to contact the OPP. Well, it appears Canada and the U.S. are closer to reaching some sort of trade deal, with a goal of presenting something to President Trump before new tariffs come into effect next week. CTV's Mike Lecouteur is in Washington with the latest. Mike.
CTV News has learned that both Canadian and American trade representatives are aiming to put the layout of a trade deal in front of U.S. President Donald Trump in the days ahead of that August 19th deadline.
How confident are you about getting a deal, Minister?
Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc and Canada's lead trade negotiator with the U.S., Janice Charette, had a nearly one-hour meeting with U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer on Tuesday. Now, it's unclear how that meeting went, but last week, industry sources with knowledge of the discussions were cautiously optimistic about the progress that was being made. Proposals are being discussed by both sides, including the removing of Canadian counter tariffs on autos and looking at those provincial bans on American alcohol. Canadian dairy quotas are also on the table. In exchange, the U.S. would agree to lower sectoral tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum, autos, and the lumber industry as well. Following today's meeting, Minister Dominic LeBlanc was tight-lipped about how it went.
Minister, how close are we to a deal?
Bonjour. Hello. You know we're not going to discuss those things.
But how confident are you the way that the conversations
Mike,
are going?
Full points for trying. You're outside in the Washington heat in the summer.
I know, but a lot of Canadians are wondering. A lot of Canadians are wondering how close you are.
We'll have something to say when the moment's right.
This was the third face-to-face meeting between LeBlanc and Greer in as many weeks. And while it's unclear exactly when they'll sit down together again, LeBlanc's office tells CTV News that Janice Charette is in contact with her American counterparts daily. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Washington.
And stay with CTV News for continuing coverage of the trade talks in Washington. For updates on radio, tune in to News Talk 580 CFRA and CTV News Channel. Well, turning now to the latest on the wildfires raging in BC. Firefighters from Mexico and Costa Rica are arriving in the province to help fight the flames, as officials warn residents in some of the hardest hit areas to brace for the worst, with homes and businesses destroyed. CTV's Andrew Johnson reports.
When Joel Patton and his family escaped their home near Summerland, flames that had traveled kilometers in just minutes were already at his back door.
My 5-year-old Chloe, she was tears. She had 3 bags on. I'm saying, hey, honey, you know, Dad's not scared. You're not scared. So we calmly got them out.
But it wasn't until he saw this photo the next morning the worst was confirmed. His home is gone.
We've lost everything in the fire.
4 days later, Patton's safe in Penticton, working to collect donations for his community. The entire district of Summerland and part of Peachland to the north remain evacuated. The fire grew overnight. It's now more than 178 square kilometers. That's double the size of the town. Reduced smoke in the area actually hurt the firefight, allowing more oxygen and heat to get through.
Even last night, without much wind, we were seeing very challenging conditions and quite significant growth in some areas of that wildfire.
As the evacuation drags on, more impacts to the community become clear. Jesse Ritchie's waterfront restaurant is one of many forced to throw out spoiled food.
It's not food safe and it's not legal to serve.
They were able to get into the restaurant to salvage what they could for 1 hour yesterday. Tens of thousands of dollars in meat, seafood, and vegetables had to be tossed out.
Like, our staff were in tears. Just the fact that this product is now being wasted and not being consumed and utilized, and we're not able to donate it or do anything with it. That's one of the worst experiences I've faced in 20 years in this industry.
He's worried for the entire town that relies on summer tourism to get through the lean winter.
Unless the government is able to step in and subsidize these small businesses, there's people that aren't going to be able to survive.
An uphill climb for a community whose mayor says, whatever happens, no one will go it alone.
We need to just pull together as the community we are and get through this, and we will. And we'll get through this and we'll be stronger.
Summerland Mayor Doug Holmes also acknowledged no one's going home anytime soon. He said plans are well underway for a staggered return. But until crews can get that fire under control, some 20,000 people will be forced to wait. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Penticton, BC.
Meantime, in northern Ontario, the wildfire situation appears to be improving. Officials say there are far fewer fires burning out of control compared to earlier in the season, with dozens extinguished in the past 2 weeks. While many still remain evacuated, 6 communities have been allowed to return home.
Although we continue to see an active fire season here across Ontario, we are making steady progress with fewer fires burning out of control and more people returning to their communities.
Ontario recorded its largest ever wildfire this year. Well, drivers should fill up their tanks tonight if they can, with gas prices expected to jump overnight. Oil prices increased yesterday due to uncertainty in the Middle East. As a result, prices at the pump will increase about 6 cents a litre tomorrow. That will bring the average price here in Ottawa to about $1.69. Canadians for Affordable Energy President Dan McTeague says costs could rise again this week.
This time, it's a little different. We don't have this midweek declaration by President Trump that things are getting better. There's a deal just around the corner, or a response by Iran that maybe there might be a cessation of hostilities.
McTeague also says the Strategic Petroleum Reserve in the U.S. has dropped below 300 million barrels for the first time since the 80s.
We're getting to a point now where we really need to rally to the community to make up this shortfall that we have.
Well, coming up, when the cost of school supplies is too much for some families to carry, an Ottawa organization is there to help, but it needs your help, too. As we take another live look through our Centennial Glass sky cam, nice to see some sunshine in that sky this evening. 26 degrees tonight, a little windy. We'll have your full forecast coming up. Taking a look at the roads out there on your Tuesday commute. For the most part, things are moving well, certainly better than last night in terms of nice dry conditions on the road tonight, but are seeing some slowdowns in some of the usual spots, Woodruff westbound and on Parkdale heading east. Well, it's early August, but a number of families are getting the jump on back-to-school shopping. However, for some, the added cost is just too much, and one organization is issuing an urgent plea to the community tonight to help students in need have a successful start to the new year. Here's CTV's Katie Griffin.
Azalea Kim is making sure to include all the essentials.
Pencils, a pencil case, and erasers and highlighters and coloring pencils.
She's here with her family and dozens of volunteers filling thousands of backpacks for students in need.
Because some kids don't have enough money to buy their bags.
There's a big expectation in the classroom, and it can be really hard to have everything that they need. So it's important that things like this are made available so that kids have access to the things that they need to be successful for a good school year.
The backpacks are distributed by the Caring and Sharing Exchange. Just like the cost of living, demand has increased. About 2,000 kids are still on their waiting list.
And we're getting to a point now where we really need to rally to the community to make up this shortfall that we have.
A recent survey by the Retail Council of Canada finds the average Canadian household will spend $600 to $750 per child, including electronics, on back-to-school shopping.
Toys and some school stuff.
This family looking for bargains.
Prices are going so, it is very expensive now. That's why I'm looking for the prices that they could be affordable for my family.
For art supplies, and I'm looking for new clothes for school and things like that.
The Caring and Sharing Exchange says a $60 donation provides one student with a backpack and grade-appropriate supplies.
Donor dollars can be stretched quite a bit more than in-kind donations, so anybody who's in a capacity to give would urge you to go to caringandsharing.ca to make a financial donation.
Katie Griffin, CTV News.
Well, after yesterday's stormy weather, the sunshine has returned to Ottawa. Yes, a beautiful day over at Britannia Beach today. Many families taking advantage of those warm temperatures, maybe a little picnic action happening. Gorgeous. A lot different from yesterday as we take a full look at your weather forecast. So this is what the satellite radar picture looks like. We do have a slight chance of some showers this evening, a possibility of showers, maybe a thunderstorm again in the forecast for you for tomorrow before things settle out from there. A lot of people hoping they will not see any more stormy weather over the next little bit. As we take a look at your cross Canada picture, this is how things shape up in the east. 20 degrees in St. John's today. Charlottetown, same temperature, 22, and a bit of a mixed bag in Halifax for you, a touch warmer in Fredericton. As we move into Quebec City seeing 21 degrees, down to the south of us in Toronto and Windsor, warmer than here in Ottawa. 28 degrees with a mix of sun and cloud in Toronto. Windsor seeing 26 with some thunderstorm activity happening there today as well. Out west, Winnipeg, 23 degrees, slightly cooler in Regina. In Alberta, temperatures in the high teens today, a mix of sun and cloud and some stormy weather in both of those spots as well. Vancouver getting the beautiful sunshine and 22 degrees, decent temperatures up north today as well. Here in this region overnight, we're going to see some delightful sleeping weather tonight. Temperatures in the low teens, pretty good. Slight chance of showers, but for the most part, some cloudy skies overnight. Clear skies along the Seaway for you. Gatineau 14 with that overcast condition. Petawawa the same. 13 in Kemptville, 15 to the east in Montreal, a little cooler in Mont-Tremblant. So taking a look at your Wednesday midweek, we are in the mid-20s here in Ottawa, 25 degrees. We will see, for the most part, a mix of sun and cloud. We may see some showers again tomorrow. There is a possibility of conditions developing to create a thunderstorm as well, so you'll have to watch for that again one more day with that type of situation. For the most part around our region, we're looking at 25 or just slightly above 26 in Kemptville, 26 in Montreal, slightly below to the north of us, 22 in Maniwaki, Mont-Tremblant, 23 degrees in Petawawa tomorrow. As we check your 7-day forecast, brought to you by Davidson Hearing Aid Center, celebrating over 80 years in family business. Here's how it looks. 25 degrees tomorrow. Again, that chance of showers, maybe a thunderstorm. On Thursday, we do have the possibility of some showers. We do not have any thunderstorms in the forecast right now. That is a good thing. Friday, 21 in the sunshine, so a slightly cooler day, but not much in the way of cloud cover. 25 on Saturday. And right now, Sunday is looking cloudy and cool, 22 degrees.
Seeing a decline, we still have a lot of vehicles being stolen. Interpol still calls us a stolen vehicle nation, where vehicles are being stolen and exported to other nations.
Well, coming up, we'll share new data on vehicle thefts and trends in Canada.
Tonight, Canada-U.S. trade talks are accelerating at a critical moment.
A lot of Canadians are wondering how close you are.
We'll have something to say when the moment's right.
How soon the framework for a deal could be presented to Donald Trump. Later on CTV National News and watch on Crave.
Promising new data on vehicle thefts in Canada. A report shows they are down across the country compared to last year. CTV's John Musselman has the details.
Despite the improving numbers, experts suggest a vehicle is stolen in this country every 10 minutes.
I keep hearing more and more occurrences, so I feel like it's getting more prevalent.
It may seem like it, but new numbers tell a different story. A report from a nonprofit anti-fraud group says vehicle thefts are down. Here's a look at the numbers. Auto thefts in Canada, 10% lower than 2025. In the first half of 2025, 23,000 vehicles were stolen. In the first half of 2026, that's down to 20,759.
Even though we're seeing a decline, we still have a lot of vehicles being stolen. Interpol still calls us a stolen vehicle nation, where vehicles are being stolen and exported to other nations.
Still, the drop in auto thefts is a result of several factors, including governments at all levels working together with law enforcement and greater public awareness about the risks.
Yeah, it is. It's concern. I got a device in here that helps me. Camera front and back.
I'm very diligent about putting my car in the garage or making sure I lock the car. But other than that, I don't know what else you can do.
My view, it has decreased a bit in this area at least.
Experts say a drop in thefts is a good sign, but luxury vehicles are still being targeted, and the GTA remains a problem.
High population of Ontario, the high number of targeted vehicles that the organized crime groups really want. and their proximity to the Port of Montreal and the eastern ports.
But experts say tightening at the ports has shifted the stolen vehicles towards traditional chop shops. Parts are packaged and sold domestically and internationally. John Musselman, CTV News.
Well, now some other stories you need to know right now. A popular local flea market is closing its doors after more than 50 years in business. Stittsville's Carp Road Flea Market will close this fall. In a post on Facebook, the owners say it's closing for several reasons. The property has been sold. Indoor vendors will be on site every Sunday until the end of September, while the outdoor market will remain open until the end of October. People lining up to be the first ones to dine at Ottawa's only Olive Garden location. The restaurant officially opening at 11 a.m. today on Kirkwood Avenue in the Hampton Park Plaza. For now, the restaurant is not accepting reservations and is only welcoming guests on a first-come, first-served basis. Well, the historic water tower in Smiths Falls will be demolished. Councillors approving the move yesterday, along with up to $400,000 for the demolition and decommissioning work. The water tower, which was built in 1924, is no longer in use. Elections Canada estimates federal by-elections this year will cost taxpayers more than $24 million. There have already been 3 by-elections to replace departing members of Parliament. 3 more are scheduled for this month, and several others will have to be called in the near future. The average cost of a by-election is $2 million, but it typically costs more to hold by-elections in the GTA because of higher prices for facility rentals and advertising. The Wildfires will be headlining the first show at Ottawa's newest music venue next week. History Ottawa will open August 20th. The 2,000-person concert venue is located in the former Chapters building right downtown on Rideau Street.
I've been around vehicles and engines and stuff pretty well my whole life.
Is on her own vehicle.
Well, still to come, doing your own oil changes can save you money in the moment, but could end up being costly in the future. More on the risks, especially when it comes to warranty claims. One of the most important things you can do to keep your vehicle running smoothly is to do regular oil changes. But while some people try to do it themselves, that can be risky. Here's CTV's Pat Foran.
I've been around vehicles and engines and stuff pretty well my whole life.
Shannon Desjardins of Sudbury says she's been doing oil changes on her own vehicles for years.
For me to just be able to have everything at home and do it when it's convenient for me.
2 years ago, she leased a 2024 Subaru Outback. She was doing oil changes and keeping records. But in January, at 71,000 kilometers, something went wrong.
I was almost home and a little red light came on, which I'd never seen before, but it was an oil light.
The light went out, so the next day she continued to drive it.
On my way back into town, the light came on again, and that's where I ultimately had it towed because there was obviously a bigger issue.
Desjardins was told there was sludge in the engine and other major problems. She was asked to provide proof of oil changes and said she did them herself. That's when she was told repairs would not be covered under warranty.
The only reason why they're denying it is because I did my own oil changes.
We reached out to Subaru Canada and a spokesperson said owner-completed maintenance must follow the maintenance schedule. A record of all services must be supported with documentation, including receipts to ensure warranty coverage can be determined appropriately. If you're handy and have an older car, you may want to do your own oil changes, but if you have a newer vehicle still under warranty, you should return to the dealer or at least an auto shop or lube shop that can give you a paper trail with receipts.
When you do the oil change yourself, the risk is too high. I wouldn't do it.
Car Help Canada says a dealer will keep detailed records and use the correct oil and filters. The group says as repairs get more expensive, changing oil yourself may not be worth it.
You might think you're saving $100, $150. It might cost you thousands of dollars afterward.
It doesn't sit well with me.
Subaru said their investigation is continuing. Desjardins continues to make lease payments and pay insurance on a car she can't drive. Pat Foran, CTV News.
The new kingpin could soon rule the international cannabis trade as Curaleaf sets its sights on a Canadian company. Tonight we're hearing reaction from that company. BNN Bloomberg's Lindsay Biscaya has more.
Aurora Cannabis is in the crosshairs of U.S. giant Curaleaf, which is intending to launch an unsolicited takeover bid. The $4 per share offer was going straight to investors after reports that Aurora's board refused to engage in private talks. In a statement this afternoon, though, Aurora says, contrary to the reports, its lead director corresponded with Curaleaf CEO as recently as last month. Aurora says it does plan to form a special committee of independent directors to consider the proposal. The offer comes as Aurora grapples with mounting headwinds, particularly in its Canadian medical and consumer cannabis segment. At one point today, shares of Aurora shot up more than 20%. And here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 71.82. West Texas Intermediate also finished the day higher, up to 83.20 a barrel. Western Canadian Select is up to 65.81, and it was yet another record high for the TSX today, closing at 36,475 points. Those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
It's better if you go to the cinema because there's so many people there. Like you can feel the emotions through the other audience.
Well, is it lights, camera, action, or are the credits rolling on the movie theater industry? Some big budget summer hits reigniting the debate in Hollywood.
Get the latest live local breaking news. Sign up now for our morning and evening CTV News Ottawa newsletter. The best local content from CTV News, Your Morning Ottawa, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Get it all in one place. Sign up now at ctvnewsottawa.ca. The CTV News Ottawa newsletter is brought to you in part by CAA Business.
There's new guidance on administering childhood vaccines in the United States, driven by President Trump and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Medical experts on both sides of the border say the move will likely lead to fewer full immunizations and more hospitalizations. Here's CTV's health reporter, Pauline Chan.
Calling it the gold standard of childhood immunizations, Trump signed an executive order to reduce the number of shots children in the U.S. receive.
A vaccination thing looks like the size of a bottle of soda poured into a little child's body.
Medical experts say this is one of the inaccuracies in Trump's comments.
We don't have good medical evidence for a lot of the changes that were suggested in the U.S. document.
Trump calls for RSV protection to be given only to high-risk babies, but
we know that most of the hospitalizations are in healthy infants, not in high-risk infants.
Similarly, Dr. Vivian Brown says meningitis occurs more in healthy teens, not high-risk groups. In addition, Trump wants to split the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine given in one shot now in Canada and the U.S.
For example, at 1 year, you should have 5 separate visits for vaccines rather than getting them all in the same day.
Previous research is that parents are unlikely to finish vaccine programs when they have to come back over and over again.
Doctors say there's no medical benefit to splitting the vaccine, and while money may be saved with fewer shots given, Brown says fewer vaccinations will lead to more hospitalizations down the road.
This doesn't have the force of law. What he's basically doing is saying to the states should look into this and try and implement this, but I think states will ignore this.
But the U.S. position will affect Canadians, and not just by increasing questions and confusion about vaccines.
If you have that amount of mixing of populations where one group is systematically less vaccinated and protected, they become a vector to bring disease into Canada. I think this is a further strong argument for strengthening vaccine capacity and use in Canada, because that's how you protect against this.
And if Canadians have vaccine questions, Dr. Brown says talk to your healthcare provider. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Canada's largest theatre company, Cineplex, is reporting its highest second quarter revenue in history, with nearly 13 million moviegoers, and that's providing hope for the future of the movie industry. CTV's Heather Wright reports.
I'm Spider-Man.
Summer blockbusters are shattering records. Spider-Man broke the North American record for an opening weekend, bringing in $360 million U.S. at the box office. Well, Christopher Nolan's epic The Odyssey has officially become the highest-grossing IMAX release of all time. The two films giving a boost to movie theaters.
It's better if you go to the cinema because there's so many people. They're like, you can feel the emotions through the other audience as well.
The North American box office has officially topped $4 billion this summer, according to analytics company Rentrack. The summer season is crucial for theaters, typically representing about 40% of the annual box office.
What is it about the big blockbusters that you makes want to see them in the theater?
I don't really know. It's just like more exciting.
This is just the second time post-COVID-19 pandemic that North American summer box office numbers have hit the $4 billion mark. It's a benchmark that was routinely hit pre-pandemic.
And the hope for theaters is that this is not just a blip, but rather a sustained return to seeing movies on big screens, devoid of the distractions that come with watching from home.
I think that we are going to see people going back to theaters. I think that it in some way may depend on what movies get released, but there's all these like little ones coming out of left field that are really grabbing people's attention.
And with a few weeks still to go until the Labor Day long weekend closes out the summer movie season, insiders say it's quite likely that this summer is the most profitable one for the movie industry since 2019.
Heather Wright, CTV News.
I've been dreaming about it for over 20 years, so yeah, it's an incredible feeling.
Coming up, more on a major win for an Ottawa pro golfer who is now bound for the PGA Tour. And taking another live look through our Centennial Glass Skycam, 26 degrees in the capital. Feels a touch warmer than that. It's going to cool off nicely overnight with some cloudy periods. A fairly good-looking day on the way tomorrow. A few showers, maybe a thunderstorm later in the day.
The National Capital Region is jam-packed with incredible experiences you don't want to miss. Hey, it's Tanea Taylor, your iHeartRadio Weekender, powered by Barhaven Ford. Get the inside scoop on all the biggest and best events every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on CTV, Move 100, Pure Country 94, TSN 1200, and News Talk 580 CFRA. iHeartRadio Weekenders is powered by Barhaven Ford. Employee pricing on now.
Tomorrow on Your Morning Ottawa, we pay a visit to Ottawa's newest indoor playground, the Jolly Bubble in Barhaven. Tune in on CTV or stream us live on Crave at 6 a.m.
Hairstyles, courtesy of Salon Fiorella.
Here's what's on CTV tonight. E-Talk, 3 episodes of The Big Bang Theory. At 9, The Amazing Race Canada. That's when I'll be sitting down on my couch. Children Ruin Everything at 10. Another episode at 10:30. Here's a recap of the top stories we are following right now.
And there was about 4 or 5 of those boards jammed right up on the back of that grill, blocking the water from coming out.
More flooded basements after yet another intense summer storm, with some raising questions about the city's stormwater infrastructure.
I've made it very clear to Council and the Transit Committee that I'll be back in early 2027 with the schedule for repair and replace and when we think we can start up.
The head of OC Transpo weighing in for the first time on the extent of the flood damage to the LRT West extension, saying it's still too early to know if the opening will have to be delayed. Those here in Ottawa trying to get in contact with loved ones in Colombia one day after a powerful earthquake left hundreds dead and missing. One final look at the forecast now. Pretty good day here in Ottawa coming to a close. We will see some cloudy skies tonight, maybe a shower. You wake up to the possibility of showers tomorrow as well. Not much of a wind. 16 degrees to start your day on our way to a high of 25 degrees. Could see a thunderstorm possibly tomorrow. Again, a chance of showers for you on Thursday and on Friday. Sunny, a little cooler, 21 degrees. The weekend looking pretty good, 25 and sunny on Saturday. 22 degrees and mostly overcast on Sunday. Well, time now to check in to see what our news team will be working on tonight. Stefan Keys is here again at 11:30.
I will be, Patricia. Thank you. Tonight we'll get local reaction about the new approach to the weather alert system. In case you missed the top of the newscast, this is a more targeted approach to ensure Canadians take these alerts more seriously. Even just yesterday, most of Ottawa received one warning them that the weather conditions could possibly produce a tornado. Now, with the launch of the new system, instead of the entire city getting the alert. A certain mobile coverage area will. Again, the hope is that those receiving it won't treat Environment Canada like the boy who cried wolf. Get the news anytime, anywhere at ctvnewsottawa.ca, and join us tonight for more reaction on that and other stories for CTV News at 11:30. Patricia.
All right, so on my couch at 9 for Amazing Race Canada.
Correct.
On my couch again at 11:30 to get your recap of the day.
In fact, you don't even have to leave the couch if you don't want to.
Yeah, that could definitely happen. All right, and finally, for us tonight, an Ottawa golfer is heading to the PGA Tour. This is big after winning Canada's national championship for the second year in a row.
To put my name as the only back-to-back winner of the Canadian PGA Championship with George Knudson, who's just a Canadian golf legend. Yeah, incredible.
You had this full story at 5. Steph, 29-year-old Craig Stefferek, now qualifying for next year's RBC Canadian Open on the PGA Tour after winning the Canadian PGA Championship last week in Cranbrook, BC. He is the only Indigenous golfer to ever win the title. And last week's victory was even more meaningful given the course in Cranbrook, located on a former residential school site. Yeah. All kinds of meaning there for him. In the off-season, Stefferek also teaches at the Bunker on Bank Street right here in the Glebe. He was definitely a solid profile on Simply Ottawa tonight at 5 o'clock.
No, definitely. And he had a beautiful message to other Indigenous youth saying we have to acknowledge our history, but also look to the future and keep your head up and be proud of your heritage. So it was a very beautiful message. And congrats to him. What an achievement.
Keep your head up. Always a good message in golf as well.
Yeah, yes.
We're going to talk to him a little bit on radio tomorrow. Look forward to that on News Talk 580 CFRA. But yes, indeed, congratulations. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. We'll see you back here tomorrow.